You have to truly believe in the magic.
What's up, Magic fans? I'm Mikey, and welcome to this week's episode of Penny for Your Thoughts, the Orlando Magic UK podcast. Today is Thursday, the 3rd of February, 2022. We've got a little rescheduled podcast. We were actually supposed to record on Friday this week with a special guest from the Magic, but unfortunately, we had to reschedule that. So we've brought the podcast forward tonight, and we're joined by a couple of familiar faces, but we haven't had you both on together. So we've got Gary and Conall back for this week's episode. Paul was going to join us as well. And unfortunately, January and pretty much the start of February has been pretty busy for all of us, which is probably why a lot of people will notice that our interactions are probably down on Twitter and places like that at the moment. But Paul's had a busy day. He hasn't even watched last night's Indiana game, which we're going to get to a bit later. So hopefully Paul will enjoy that. Well, he will enjoy that towards the end. But yeah, guys, happy? How are we? Gary?
Absolutely over the moon. You might think we've won a couple of games, Mikey.
Mate, it's surprising, isn't it? Absolutely. So Gary's been posting some articles on the website, orlandomagic.uk.com. Gary's been discussing Jalen Suggs was the most recent one. So if you haven't checked that out, go over to the website and have a read of that. But Gary, you've got anything you want to say about what you've been writing? I know you want to get involved with that a little bit more.
Yeah, the Suggs article was really prompted off the back of the Bulls game, and I saw Stacey King seemed to be a little bit upset about how Jalen reacted to his dunk, and it was, I don't know, it was like prodding me with a stick that I had to write something. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I just think that really for it, we need this type of player in our team. I think we've been way too nice for way too long. We've really only had Michael Carter-Williams. I see Suggs as a culture changer in Orlando. Somebody compared him recently on Twitter, I forgot who it was, to Gary Payton with the defensive prowess, the steals, and the ability just to give it back if it's given to him. And when I saw that by Stacey King, I was like, well, really, what did you want Suggs to do? Like, do a great dunk, run to a guy who's verbally giving him it in the crowd, and then say, I'm really sorry for ruining your ambience in Orlando's home arena, Mr. Chicago.
Yeah.
So I thought it was worth pointing out, but I think Suggs got a little bit of flack at the start of the season unfairly, and he deserves a little bit of praise for how he's came back, because I do think he's a game changer.
Absolutely. Yeah, completely agree. And yeah, so like I said, go over and check that out on the website. G, our friend from the Valleys, are you doing well, mate?
I'm all right, mate. I'm all ready for this weekend's encounter in the FA Cup. I think you might have forgotten about it.
I forgot about that, to be fair. I mean, nobody really cares about Cardiff very much, so you don't really. No. You don't normally come. You're not at the forefront of my mind most often, and I'm surprised you're even talking about that. I mean, you're okay, mate. We've won 4 out of the last 6, and you're okay.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm enjoying it. I'm a little bit sad still about Tom Brady retiring, but
here we go.
It is what it is. It is what it is. The Magic are winning. I'm happy. And Cardiff will be winning on the weekend. I'll be even happier next week. So happy day.
Good lad. Good lad. And we're also joined by Conall this week, who's fresh off a trip to New York, which concluded a couple of big basketball games. So I know we've exchanged a few messages, Conall, about your trip. But what did you get up to when you went away?
So we went over there and we watched the Knicks-Clippers game at the Garden, and then the Lakers-Nets game at the Barclays Center. We also caught an ice hockey game. I think it was the Rangers versus the Kings. So we had 3 New York versus LA matchups across 2 different sports, which was quite interesting. But yeah, like I said to you guys before, it was just amazing. I feel so lucky to have been able to go. I mean, we've kind of had, our private discussions in our own group chat about LeBron James and where we stand on him. But no matter what your opinion on him is, as an appreciator of basketball, there's no denying that he is one of the, if not the greatest to ever do it. And to be able to watch him in person, it was surreal. Something that, I've seen Messi and Ronaldo play live, and I got I didn't get the same feeling as I did when I watched LeBron. It was honestly just an amazing experience, both games, but obviously mainly the Lakers Nets one, because seeing James Harden play as well was something that was pretty cool. And experiencing the Garden was another thing which I was really curious to do, because you always see people, talking on Twitter about the Knicks fans and this and that. And, I thought I'll turn up as a Magic fan. I'll say, I forgot my Magic gear to wear, which was so sad. It would have been cool to represent. But it was a 1 p.m. game on a Sunday, I think. So the atmosphere was a little bit strange, as it would be, because obviously, they're normally playing on the evenings. But like I say, it was an amazing experience. And I can't wait for the next Magic games, which I'll be able to go to finally. It's been a while.
Is that the first time you've seen LeBron in the flesh?
I believe so, yeah. I mean, unless I watched him play back when I lived over there, but I wouldn't have remembered that. I wasn't too much into it back then.
I expect he was moaning and crying at referee calls.
Oh, moaning and crying as much as he's ever been before. But it was still fun. It was still fun to watch, because obviously being there as a neutral, if he's moaning and crying against you, you're like, oh, for God's sake, like, just shut up, you just do your head in. But when it's against, you're just there enjoying the game, you think, oh, it's just LeBron being LeBron. It's just brush it off. Just brush it off when you're watching LeBron James play basketball live. It's something that I can deal with.
Yeah. And what happened to your face mask, mate? Did you put it in the trash?
Well, it has been burned, actually, Gary. It'll be very, very, Gary, it'll be really, really, you'll be really glad to know it is gone, and it will never be seen again. And it'll be promptly replaced by an Orlando Magic face mask next time.
Excellent.
I'm only playing, mate. I'm only playing.
No, I know.
So the Garden or the Barclays Centre, which did you prefer?
The Garden, definitely. The Barclays Centre was a strange one. It looked really cool and like futuristic from the outside.
Yes.
But when you're in there, it's strange that the atmosphere, it's very dark. When you look up to the top, the top tier, you can't see the people there because it's so dark. It's like almost sheer. The lower bowl, and then there's kind of the corporate section. And then by the time you get up to the gods, you literally can't see anything up there. It was a little bit of a weird one. I definitely prefer the Garden. And also it's an iconic arena, isn't it? It was really cool to go.
Yeah. Me and G have had the same discussion. Like, you turn up at the Barclays Centre, you got that cool, like, front of the arena with like the screen on the inside, and like you come out of the subway and you're right there. But when you get in the arena, it's quite dark and dull, we found. Yeah, but I have to say with lighting and arenas are different throughout the league, but the arenas where the court's got all the light and it's darker in the stands, I do like that. I don't know. That's just not a big deal.
It's not that big of a deal now. I do prefer the Amway though. Like, I've been to quite a few arenas now, and this isn't even biased. This is just true. I think the Amway is the best arena that I've been to.
Yeah.
I mean, it is one of the obviously the most modern ones as well. But yeah, it's the best for me.
No bias involved at all.
No bias involved. The Amway is the best arena in the history of basketball. Fact.
Anyway. And we need to get Gary over there, because I don't think you've been to a game at the new arena yet, have you? So I've
only been to the arena.
Yeah.
So I'm slightly biased towards that.
Yeah, mate. The atmosphere was still better in the old arena, but that goes without saying. Anyway, moving on. So before we get into the Magic news, quick affiliate plug. Support today's episode and visit the official NBA Store EU or Fanatics using our affiliate link in the description of the podcast. Shop the latest NBA gear and Orlando Magic merchandise, including jerseys, shorts, T-shirts, all available with international delivery. Fanatics also carry stuff like the NFL, football jerseys, and all sorts of stuff like that. Use our discount code MAGICUK10 at the checkout for 10% off. I'm going to keep going. Use our discount, or you can use the discount code live on the website. Please note, some exclusions may apply. Okay. You right there, G?
I am. You missed the part there.
I know I did. And I purposely missed it. Okay, so Magic news then. So on Wednesday, the NBA announced that Magic rookies Jalen Suggs, Franz Wagner, and second-year guard Cole Anthony will all be participating in this year's Rising Stars competition during All-Star Weekend in Cleveland, I think it is this year, which is 2 weeks' time from the 18th to the 20th of February. On last week's show, we also briefly talked about Cole Anthony committing to the dunk contest this year. So we're going to see him in several competitions. So, guys, I'm going to go to Conall and Gary first because I want you guys to weigh in. Are you a fan of All-Star Weekend? And how excited are you to see Cole in the dunk contest and all three of them in the Rising Stars? Conall?
Personally, yeah, sorry. I am a fan of it. It's something that it's kind of a bit of a relief, and the kind of culture around the game. It's not that it's kind of become more a little bit recently, but it's not that competitive. You just kind of get to appreciate the talent and appreciate people, enjoying themselves, and it's kind of a nice way to take a step back from the season and realize, this all actually is quite fun, because you can get really caught up in games every single night, but it's as a change, it's quite refreshing, I think. And with regards to seeing our boys there, for me, it's really, really exciting, because you think back to a couple of years ago, we had nobody there. We had no one in the All-Star game, no one in the Skills Challenge, no one in the Rising Stars. We were the only team in the NBA to have no representative at All-Star Weekend. And I feel like as over the couple of years, obviously the rebuilds happened and the culture's begun to change with the younger guys. I feel like Cole is the perfect guy to be sending to that dunk contest, because like I said it last time I was on, his interviews, his social media presence, everything about the guy is kind of epitomizing what we have become and are still becoming as a franchise, which is like a group of young, fun, excited, energetic guys. So to actually be able to portray that to the league, because obviously we don't get as much media attention in general as some of the bigger market teams, for him to have that opportunity to go there and show like, this is what the Magic's about and this is what we're going to continue to be about for the future, I feel like it's really, really positive for us. It's quite exciting.
Yeah. Do you know what it reminds me, having Cole especially there, is a bit like when we have Victor Oladipo. I think he finished runners up in New York, didn't he, at the Barclays Center in the dunk competition, and he come out singing one of the New York songs, didn't he, on the microphone? And he's just got that showmanship about him, and Cole's got that similar sort of personality. But yeah, no, I agree. Gary, what about you, pal?
If there was nobody from the Magic there, I wouldn't really be that bothered. It's because I do see it as an exhibition game. So if I could see it live, I would love to see an All-Star Weekend live. But if there's no Magic representation, I think I'll be like, I'll just maybe check out a couple of minutes highlights. But just piggybacking off what you guys have said, there's absolutely no way that this dunk contest in particular is going to pass without Cole Anthony doing or saying something. Like if he wins that dunk contest, can you imagine the interview he's going to do? What it's going to be like? Because you might as well just cancel the rest of the All-Star Weekend, because it's all downhill from there. I've got this, I think there's a legit chance as well that Franz is going to just steal the show at the showcase, because I think we saw it in the Detroit game where it was just a little bit chippy about what was happening with Kane, perhaps. And I think Franz Wagner might put on a bit of a show at this game, and it's going to be all eyes on Orlando, strong representation, big personalities, and it would be great to see our guys take home some individual awards as well. Who knows? Franz, Jalen, Cole might stand out in the Rising Stars.
Let's hope so. G?
Yeah, I'll just echo what the guy said. It's exciting. It's just an opportunity for the guys to put Orlando on the map, get some media attention, pointed out our way, something we don't get from anybody. And I was speaking to Jimmy Zink from UK Chicago Bulls the other day, following the Bulls game, and we just going back and forth, good game and all that. And he was like, "You've got some real talent." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know that, but the problem is the rest of the league don't know that because they don't watch us." And Jimmy, in fairness, he watches all the Bulls games, so he's obviously seen us against the Bulls 4 times now, so he can appreciate that. We've got some talent. We're also without Fulton Isaac, as we mention every week, so we've got a good building block there. So good opportunity.
I don't know if it was today or yesterday. Apparently, the NBA released the latest Rookie of the Year standings. Yeah, and they've got Franz 5th. What an absolute joke! An absolute joke. Anything you'll say? Because that's pretty much all you can say.
It's the small market bias, though, isn't it? Like you say, G, because no one watches the Magic. they don't pay attention to how good these guys are. And you think that people who are from the league would, but it really seems like they don't. And it's frustrating because it happens in every sort of instance. Like even stuff as kind of trivial as when we were talking about the jersey competition last time, they've got the Lakers and the Celtics as the top two. They're not the best jerseys. That's not important, but they're always going to give these awards to the players who are more relevant, like the number one draft pick or who's playing for whatever team, rather than, kind of giving the award the integrity that it deserves of awarding it to the best rookie who's, having the biggest impact on their team, putting up the best numbers, which Franz, there's arguments that he might not be first. You can dispute that, but fifth is just ridiculous. There's obvious bias against the Magic to be having him in fifth. And I hope that by the time it gets to the end of the season, maybe after the Rising Stars game, people will start to take note a bit more and he'll be back on top.
Absolutely. So Gareth, do you want to say anything?
I was just going to say, I think if I was taking my Magic shades off, I would say, given what the Cavs have done, Mobley's got to be the favourite for Rookie of the Year. But hand on heart, since the start of the season, like bearing in mind what Cade's missed, I saw an article that popped up on Twitter, and it's now a 2-horse race in the Rookie of the Year between Cade Cunningham and Evan Mobley. And I was kind of like, how disrespectful is that to Wagner, Barnes, and Giddey, who are they're having great seasons, and it's just like, oh yeah, the number one picks here. So you guys now you can just be forgotten about. Like it's not.
And he missed how many games at the start of the season?
I couldn't tell you off the top of my head, but a significant amount.
Yeah. I want to say it was 15, 20. That might be a bit ambitious, but it was like you said, it was a decent amount of games.
Yeah, his debut was against us, wasn't it, in Detroit?
Yeah.
So it was about
December, wasn't it? Was that at the start of December? Or was it a bit earlier than that? I can't remember. But yeah, Franz Rookie of the Year. We're going to keep beating that drum all season long. All season long.
Absolutely.
So a little bit of other Magic news, not Orlando Magic news, but Lakeland Magic news. Got a bit of positive. Got some fans stirred up on Twitter that Giannis Tima, who played for the Magic during NBA Summer League in Las Vegas, is signed for the Lakeland Magic. And then everybody's like, "Oh, it's not going to be long. He's going to be a 2-way deal, and he's going to be playing for Orlando soon." He's a bit of a fan favorite considering he's never really played for us, but yeah. So Giannis' team is now playing for Lakeland, and also the other news for Lakeland is Devin Kennedy, who had that horrific ankle injury at the end of last season playing for Orlando, finally made his return for Lakeland this week as well. So it's good to see him back on the court. So recapping this week, the last 3 games since we last recorded. So starting with the Magic beat the Dallas Mavericks, which was, I can't think now, was it last Sunday? I have no idea what day of the week it is at the moment. But the Magic won by 2, won 110-108. Wendell Carter Jr. finished with 14 points, 14 rebounds. Franz Wagner, 18 points, 19 points for Chuma Okeke, who had one of his good games that he's seems to be putting together more and more. So good start to the week. Conall, what did you see in the Mavs win?
What I really liked about the Mavs win was how much our players are willing to share the ball and help each other out on the floor. We don't have a guy who's there like we maybe once did in the likes of Victor Oladipo or someone like that, who was trying to be the guy for the team. And you could tell, I watched Wendell's interview, he might have been with Dante or someone on the floor after the game, where that's what he was talking about, how much they're there to kind of help each other and, facilitate scoring opportunities for one another rather than just having the ball in their own hands and being direct. We had 7 players in that game scoring double figures, which is just, it's a really, really good achievement for us to show that we have that talent stacked down our bench, even with the guys still to come back who have the ability to put in double figures performances. And like you just said about Chuma then, 19 points, the highest Magic point score in the game. We're starting to see a little bit more of the potential from Chuma that we saw last season, maybe. Like we say, he had a bit of a slow start to this year. But over this past week, definitely, we've seen him come into his own a little bit more. Like you also said with Wendell, 14 and 14. I think he had his career high rebounds last night. Was it 18? So the Mo Bamba, Wendell Carter Jr. debate is kind of coming to a close for me, because at the start of the season, you had people arguing over who's going to have that 5 spot for me, I think there's no question anymore. Wendell's shown how much more consistent than Mo he can be and how effective he can be, like 14 rebounds, 18 rebounds, while sharing the floor with Mo is very impressive. So I liked a lot what I saw that game. Just one quick thing that I want to add before I let somebody else talk. I loved when Chuma stole the ball from Luka just about half court and ran down and dunked it, because Luka was winding me up that game. He was just whinging like I've never seen before. Just a very entitled boy, it seems like. But when Chuma took it off him and dunked it down, it really kind of epitomised the type of game Chuma was having and the Magic were having. And we managed to close it out after it got a bit tight towards the end, but I was made up.
Would you say he's been watching LeBron far too much?
He probably has. I was trying to not say it to seem like this is just a LeBron hate train, but yes, I think he's been watching LeBron a little bit too much.
Absolutely. So on Tuesday night, the Magic then travelled to Chicago. Really hard fought game, this one, where the Magic, I think, were down by 13, battled back in the fourth quarter, tied the game with several minutes to go. But fell short, 126 to 115. Cole Anthony with 20 points, 6 rebounds, 9 assists. Wendell had arguably you could tell he was motivated to play against his old team. 24 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists for Wendell, which was really impressive. 22 for Franz Wagner. A game that we probably shouldn't have won anyway, but we certainly gave ourselves a chance down the stretch in that one. But Gary, what did you think of the Chicago game, mate?
First of all, you said about how we came back, and I think it shows the resilience what the Magic have. We don't say die. It's a testament really to the culture, I think, that Coach Mosley's built up in Orlando, where it would be really easy to look at the record that we've got and the towel could go in. And instead, I think every single game, we don't seem to quit, no matter how far down we are. Also, looking at the rebounding stats for the game, I think that was an area where we kind of got beat. It was 49 to 36. And I look at that and I think, okay, a little bit tougher inside, a little bit more physical, a little bit more mature. Orlando gives a very good Chicago team, maybe an even closer run. I think right now, going into Chicago, as you said, Mikey, it's not a game where you would expect to win. But I think at the same point in time, having a look at that game and thinking about the Bulls and where they are now, and then thinking about where we are and think, well, okay, Chicago last season weren't a playoff team. So when we get all our guys back and you can see the culture starting to build, are we going to jump to the first seed in the East? No, but could we technically make a jump into the playoffs picture and start making a noise? I think that's definitely believable, but I am going to ask permission from G here just to say one thing about this game, and it's about refereeing.
You carry on, my friend. Just 1 point, G. Just 1 point. I can't take your thunder, but Cole Anthony with his big dunk battles the rim. Technical foul called, and I know there's been a lot of pep about this online. We've spoken about it, but is this a tech or is it not? Because it seems to be that when you play against the Magic, if you do that, and I'm not one for getting on the referees, you can do that. Montrezl Harrell seems to make half of his contract off doing it against Orlando. No techs get called. But then Cole Anthony does the same thing against the Bulls, and all of a sudden it's a technical foul. So really, I just wonder if the NBA officials are watching this, I would like you just to clear up whether it is a tech or it isn't a tech, because I don't know. And it's not just that one, mate. In that game, Wendell Carter got a technical, but batting the ball against the stanchion. Yeah. Now, how many times have we seen Vucevic do that in a Magic jersey? Granted,
frustrated,
he get annoyed, and he'll just tap it against the back, the stanchion. It bounced back to him, and then he'd go. Bit of frustration, I get it, but it just seems that everything is being called on her, but never against them. I was almost waiting for Vucevic to do it in that game, and then for them not to call it. Joke. And it was Lauren Holtkamp as well, so he says it all.
But you see some of these clips online of other games, like you said it a few weeks ago, G. it's the consistency of refereeing. It's not like we're just beating the drum and we're 12-41 and we're just complaining about refereeing calls all season. There's genuinely an inconsistency with referee. Like not even Magic related. You had the player that plays for the Bucks that got thrown out the game with a flagrant 2. I can't think of his name now. Grayson Allen for pulling. Who did he pull down? I can't think now. Was it DeMar?
It was Caruso,
and then he broke his wrist or fractured his wrist or something. And then Montrezl Harrell the other day basically almost threw a punch at one of the Bucks players, didn't he? As he went past him, it wasn't a punch, but there was a lot of contact, and I think he just got a flagrant 1. But to me, that was just as malicious and as bad as the Grayson Allen one. But it's things like that, isn't it? It's
Look at Jalen Suggs going to the basket, and our favourite guy, LeBron James, with his sneaky little shove in there when he went up there. Like, fortunately, he wasn't injured, but it could have been pretty nasty, that.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you got daft decisions, which we'll get to in a minute, like Robin Lopez getting called for a technical for sitting on the floor, which he does every single game. But there we go. Then the Magic travelled to Indiana on the second night of a back-to-back. They were down by 17, as many as 17 points in this game. In what I'd probably say, and I'll be honest, I only watched the highlights of this, but it looked like the Magic were low on energy, was probably a good way of putting it, after playing a hard game in Chicago the night before. Like I said, down at 17, and they battled back. They took the lead, was a minute and a half to go in the fourth quarter, and then ended up clinging on to that game. And this was a game that we probably shouldn't have won, but we did. So it's nice to come out on top. Conall already mentioned it. Wendell had 18 boards to go with 19 points. Cole Anthony, 15 points, 6 and 8. 22 points for Money Gary Harris. That's what we're going to start calling him from the left corner from the 3-point line. G, what was your thoughts on the Pacers win?
Yeah, it's a game of two halves. Second half we beat them 66-51, and it was nice to see that some changes were made. I read Paul's preview beforehand, found out Sabonis wasn't going to be suiting up, so I changed my magic moments to predict a win, and I'm glad I did, because essentially it was our beat up team against the Indiana Pacer guards, because when Jackson went down in the first 30 seconds, looking at their roster, I don't think anybody, you've got point guards, shooting guards and small forwards in there, so I'd expect us to beat them, if I'm being perfectly honest. Whilst they shot the ball very well, Torrey Craig had a great game, 22 points. Karis LeVert got 26. It was nice to see that the coaches made some changes at the half, pounded the ball in. As you mentioned, Wendell got some rebounds. I was hoping that maybe Bamba would have got some more. Obviously, Robin Lopez was used better in the fourth quarter when they put him in, and he was able to use his hook shot. So it wasn't the best game to watch as a spectacle. Indiana didn't have any fans in there because it was snowing outside. And it's Indiana Pacers, let's be honest, who supports them? But if we're going back to the officiating again, right? So you've already touched upon the technical foul that got issued to the Magic bench, and Robin Lopez literally, on the floor. You saw one of the referees just mentioning to the Magic bench, get back, whatever. I don't know what was said, and obviously we were hit with a technical. But then there was a foul in the fourth quarter. You might not have seen this, Mikey, because if you watch the condensed. But basically, Robin Lopez had the ball, and a guy, Dwayne Washington, ran into him, and Rolo got called for an offensive foul. You watch it, David and Jeff were flabbergasted, didn't quite understand why they called that. But anyway, that's enough of the officiating. So in the end, like you said, we managed to pull away and hold off. And Gary Harris was superb. He's, like you said, he's automatic in that left corner. And I've changed my mind on him since the beginning of the season.
I'm going to have to find some music overlay to put over Ref Rant every week. So if anybody's got any suggestions, leave them in the comments of the video. Go, Gar.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. That's what I'm
just have that playing in the background every time G goes up on one. It's all right. But you're calm today, G, because we won. So Orlando remained last in the Eastern Conference, 12-41, despite winning 4 of the last 6 games. 1.5 games back of Detroit, who've played 3 games fewer. The Pistons are at home to the Minnesota Timberwolves this evening, and the Magic only have 29 games of this season left. On to this week's topic, which is the trade deadline. So we are recording this a week before the NBA trade deadline, which is next Thursday, the 10th of February. And I think the window shuts at 8 o'clock UK time, which is 3 p.m. in the States. So there's been lots of rumors swirling around about certain Magic players being on the trade block or players being touted to head off to different teams. But we all know that that is not coming from the Magic. That's coming from external sources. So how do you guys think Jeff Weltman and John Hammond should approach the deadline next week or between now and the deadline next week? And what do you think they're hoping to do? So I'll go to Gary first.
First of all, we'll never know what they're thinking. We'll just never know. If I was looking at it from a should perspective, I think we should be looking to really stockpile picks and assets. I would base that around, as much as I like Gary Harris and what he's done since I think he's really picked it up. I think he's a player who could be on the block. I think Terrence Ross probably is on the block to get a move. And I think really there's got to be a decision made on Bamba at some point. Now, do we let him walk, or are we going to try and get something for him, or are we going to re-sign him? So I think they're the 3 players who things are centering around. I look at that as what could we get in terms of picks. If we can get first-round picks back, I think we've got to listen. If I looked at what I would like is if Golden State are really in on this season and winning and taking it all, and it's a real lofty one and it's a Magic fan bias, but then again, if you're a Lakers fan, you seem as though you can trade Taylor and Horton Tucker for the entire Magic roster. I would like to have a see what I would like to see the cost of James Wiseman.
Yeah.
Because I just think he fits our rebuild plans, and we don't know what we've got. But if we're going to take a project, there's Wiseman there, and then we roll the odds in the lottery. Who knows? We could be the most stacked team in the league.
Well, if we were Laker fans, we'd think we could send the Warriors the rights to Fran Vasquez for James Wiseman or something stupid like that. If you're a Lakers,
Steph Curry as well, just to make it work.
Yeah, just throw Steph in there too. What about you, Conall? What do you think they should do at the deadline?
I think Gary's spot on with what he said. It's about stockpiling assets, and having a player like Terrence Ross is really valuable to have when you're looking to go and get some of those assets. Mm-hmm. Like you said, with a team who might be trying to win this season. So I've read rumors about him going to the Lakers. I like the Warriors idea. If that was possible, that would be a dream come true. But a team who's trying to win now, who might not have as high value of a draft pick, someone like the Lakers, if they even have any first round picks left, I'm not sure.
They don't till 2017, mate. So what's the point trading with them?
Yeah, well, there you go. But, if we could get a first round pick, I think that's really good business for one of these guys who is over kind of the average age of the team, who's maybe coming towards slightly that end of their career, but would be really valuable in terms of helping one of these win now teams win now. So a first round pick for Gary Harris or Terrence Ross or even Mo Bamba, because I think it's kind of come to a bit of a consensus that the Mo Bamba experiment is coming to an end, as we've seen Wendell take over that position. There's a time where I would have been distraught to see Mo moved on, but now I think that it could be the right thing for kind of the good of the organisation. So it's what value you can get for him, because where people would evaluate his ceiling to be at, I'm not sure anymore, because when he first came into the league, we drafted him 6th or something. You thought people had him on the boards going higher than Trae Young. So how far off that he is now, I don't know how that affects his value. But first round picks, please, and assets, because Gary Harris is helping us win too much, and we don't need that. I feel like Weltman, if we're in the shoes of Weltman, he wants Mosley to probably lose every single game this season. So having Gary Harris come off the bench and score 22 is not helping him. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him go.
And why you brought up the Lakers there, just briefly, what is this nonsense I've been reading about that the Magic would be suitable a destination for Russell Westbrook again?
Oh my God.
Have you seen this?
Don't bother.
Have you seen this nonsense floating around? I think I might have put it in the group the other day, but somebody was like, the Magic would finally have a star to build around. How old's Russell Westbrook? Like 33? Like,
he's also bad. He's also very bad at basketball. I can confirm that after watching him play live. He is ineffective. I would not take him. It's rubbish, honestly. I don't even entertain stuff like that. It just riles me up. There's no point. It's clickbait, and I won't stand for it.
I think that was Shannon Sharp on First Take, and even Skip Bayless said to him, "No, you're talking nonsense." Right?
If Skip Bayless is shutting it down, then I think that's all. It says all there is to say, isn't it?
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Oh.
So what I think they should do, I think they need to have a chat with Gary Harris and see where he's at. Obviously, he's the one who's becoming a free agent at the end of the season. If he's committed to staying in Orlando, I don't see a reason to trade him. He's proved how valuable he can be. He's comfortable at the moment, with the role he's got. It looks like he's enjoying his basketball. He's putting up the numbers. Whilst, I wouldn't want to pay him anywhere near what he's currently on, 20 million a season. The free agent pool this year, there's not that many players there. And if we're not going to make a swing for somebody, then we could potentially just bring him back for a season at in and around this salary, because we're not going to make a big splash, and then have him as an expiring again next year. So the way I think Weltman and Hammond should look at it is they need to have a chat with Gary Harris, because he's the one who's a free agent, work out where his head is at before making any decisions on him. And in fairness, Gary stole my trade idea. Now, we didn't mention this, but him and I have gone back on text this week. But James Wiseman is a superb trade target, I believe. And if you could do possibly a Bamba and a Ross, for example, I don't know if it works salary-wise, for Wiseman, they get, two guys there who spread the floor even more with Thompson and Curry. Can you imagine? And then we get Wiseman as a piece. I like that idea a lot. So wouldn't be opposed to that.
Gary Harris is only 27. So
exactly.
He's a young vet, really, still, isn't he? But yeah. But no, I kind of get what you guys are saying. I really want to keep Gary Harris, and I just feel there's going to come a point where we're going to have to balance out the youth with veteran presence at some point. Maybe next year's not the time to do it. Maybe we just got to keep throwing stuff at the wall and just keep putting young players out and giving them as many minutes as possible, which I think is probably part of the thinking that's going to go into the next week as well. So what do you guys think's going to happen then between now and next week? If you could make any predictions, bold predictions, and it's not Steph Curry, all right? What are you going to go with? So I'm going to go back to G first. What do you reckon, pal?
Oh my God, it's a difficult one, isn't it? We've seen all sorts of rumours swirling around. Terrence Ross to Boston for Grant Williams, Aaron Neesmith. It's a decent return. Grant Williams is a bit of a dog, isn't he? Naismith, however you say it. I don't think he's played that well in Boston, so it might give him an opportunity. And then there's two other trades that have been flirting with the Cavs for Osman and a first-round pick. I think you'd take that because you get your first-round pick, stockpile your assets, as the boys have said, or to Dallas for Dwight Powell and a pick. And Dwight Powell, obviously big centre. I don't know if he's an expiring or not, but again, you stockpile assets and you give Terrence Ross an opportunity to go to a team that's gone to the playoffs. As to what might happen, it's impossible, isn't it? I like Gary Harris to stay, as I probably alluded to, and I don't think Terrence is playing that well at the moment. He seems a little bit disinterested. I don't know if I'm speaking out of turn here, but yeah, I keep Gary, move Terrence for the best option that is out there, and hopefully that's Golden State.
Well, G's already just gone through half of what I was going to talk about in a minute, so thanks, mate. No, that's right, it's cool. Conall.
Like everyone's been saying, realistically, our front office is completely unpredictable, and there's no way that anyone would win a bet on what we're going to do in the next week. I think Harris is the most likely that we keep on out of Bamba, Ross, and him because of how, the impact like he's shown that he can have off the bench, how the Bamba experiment's done, and how Terrence Ross is obviously a lot older means I think those two are probably more likely to move on, Mo especially while he's got a little bit more trade value since he's young. So I think those two will get moved by next week, but there's just no way of knowing. That could be miles off. We could trade anyone, and I wouldn't be surprised because there's just no predicting what our front office is going to do.
I tell you one thing I did mention. Maybe Bagley from the Sacramento Kings. He's, disgruntled there. I think earlier this season, I think his dad came out and said, he's not happy or whatever. And Bagley and Bamba probably in and around match in terms of salary. I don't know. I wouldn't mind Bagley though.
What about you, Gary?
Sensible. If I was being totally sensible about it, I think Gary Harris will stay because I'm going to use the Fournier deal from last year. Both of the, I believe, expiring contracts, as we've been saying, and we got a lot below market value for Fournier. We got a second round. We didn't get anything. So unless we were really going hard on a tank, I don't think it would make much sense because I don't think we're going to get that much back for Gary Harris because of his contract situation. I think with Terrence Ross, I think he's the most likely, and for what he's done for the franchise, I don't want him to go, but I would wish him well wherever he did go. But I think the return's most likely to be something like the Osman in the first round pick. I think that's probably around what Ross would yield. With Bamba, again, we've discussed it when I've been on before. The guy is a unicorn of a player, but I think we are reaching a point where people are starting to say, okay, what's going to happen here? Are we going to re-sign him? If so, what's the price? I wouldn't be surprised if Bamba went, but I don't know what he would bring back. I think it would possibly be a later first round pick if he is going to go at all.
Well, early in the season, I think. Go on, Gary. Go on for me.
I just think Ross is the most likely to go. I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. He's been a good servant
what do you think, Mikey?
To Orlando. So when you look at Gary Harris, and I don't know, I can't remember if I mentioned this on an episode earlier in the season, but I've definitely had this conversation with one or two of you that earlier in the year where he just come back, he was getting his conditioning back and he wasn't shooting the ball like he is now. I don't think he really had any trade value. I thought, and this might still be the case, he might still be a buyout candidate just purely based on the fact that he's earning 20 million. And like Gary's already said, Fournier, I think, was earning 17 and all you got was 2 second round picks back for him. Gary's playing really, really well at the moment. So that might bump it up a little bit, but how many teams have got salary cap to absorb 20 million for a player that they could just go, well, if we want him next year, we'll just wait till free agency. So I feel like, I think he might get bought out. But after the trade deadline. and then obviously you open up minutes for when Fultz comes back as well for the guard position. So that's what I think's going to happen with Gary Harris. Terrence Ross is gone. If he's here after the trade deadline, I would be gobsmacked. But if he's not gone at deadline, he's gone during the off season because he's still got a year left on that contract. But obviously, right now, with the playoffs not far away, he's going to be playing a big part for a playoff team, for a contender possibly. Somebody else we haven't really talked about is Robin Lopez as well, who's only, I think he's got a $6 million deal, which CBS Sports also put down as one of their like notable trade candidates. So, I mean, I think Lopez is the sort of person that he probably gets packaged with somebody. But Bamba, I think Bamba's going to be here after the deadline because I don't see teams clamoring over one another to think, we need to trade for him when they can just go and get him to sign an offer sheet in free agency in the summer. Obviously, we can match it, but I feel like teams might just sit and go, well, there might be other players that are higher up teams' priority list of people they might chase. And a lot of teams might just let the market dictate what he's worth and see whether he's worth it or not and whether he fits what teams want. So, yeah, I think Bamba's here till the summer. I don't think he's here next season. But I think Terrence Ross is definitely gone. It's all about opening up playing time for the young players for the second half of the season. And the other thing is we've got the trade exception as well. Do you guys think we're going to use that 17 million? You don't think we're going to use it? Yeah.
No, I just think with if Markel Fultz is coming back, unless the buyout's going to happen, I think they're probably going to look at just basically playing young players, youth.
Yeah. Well, Philip Rossman-Reich, I think it was a week or two ago, wrote an article on Orlando Magic Daily, basically sort of highlighting 5 players who he thought could be potential players the Magic could use that trade exception for. One of them was Serge Bakker. I don't think any of us would be super pleased to see Serge Bakker back in Orlando. He's on an expiring deal. Larry Nance Jr., I think, would be interesting. He's got 1 year left, 9.7 million. Davis Bertans, 3-point sharpshooter. He's got 3 years, 49 million. It doesn't really fit what we need. Dario Saric has got 10 million next year. I don't really.
He'd be all right. Saric should be all right. I think he'd be all right.
I feel where we're at though. Yeah, but I feel where we're at the moment. I mean, if you're going to trade Bamba or Lopez or both, then yeah, you need to fill that backup center role for Wendell. I mean, Mo Wagner can play there, but like we saw at times, he's not really protecting the rim. So somebody like Tristan Thompson or Serge Ibaka could fill that role for the end of the season, but there's probably other options other than those guys. But yeah, none of them are really. We want to be chasing high upside players. So like you guys have already mentioned, like James Wiseman, Bagley, young players who still got some room to grow that probably need a fresh start and a new change of scenery. And again, somebody that fits the age and the timeline of what we already got. I don't really see the point in chasing veterans at this point. Yeah. Guys, got any more thoughts on that at all?
Yeah, I kind of agree what G said. It's the best of a bad bunch, Dario Saric. I mean, Davis Bertans is not the guy that we need, like you say, for our timeline at all. Larry Nance would kind of interest me a little bit more, but even still not that much. He's not one of those guys who's like an outright, explicit, yes, this is the guy that we need that's going to help us. So I can't see it being worth any of our time, really, to be honest. If those are the only options that are out there, then for me, I reckon we just leave it. And like Gary was saying, the second half of the season is really about giving the youth more minutes. So yeah. I think we're good.
So the
only way.
Go on, G.
The only way we bring one of them in is if they load it with some assets. So if we're to bring Bertans, and I wouldn't want Bertans. I wouldn't touch him with a barge pole. But, for 3 years, 49 million left on his deal, you got to give us a first round pick, a couple of second round picks, etc., just to make it worth our while. Obviously, the expiring ones, there's no point bringing Tristan Thompson in, who's an expiring for our trade exception. Really, yeah.
Do you really want Tristan Thompson in the locker room with these young players? I certainly don't.
Probably not. No.
If we end up with a Bakker, I'm just going to propose that I haven't got this wrong, we send him down to the Solar Bears. I just don't want him anywhere near after where he was last time. Just send him down to the Solar Bears for the banter.
Oh dear. No, absolutely not. So before we move on, before we jumped on, I had a quick little look on some of like the updated rumours swirling around on the Twitter sphere, and had a quick Google with some different rumours and stuff going on. So there's a couple of trades I've come across, or proposals. One was sending Mo Bamba to Detroit for Trey Lyles, Kelly Olynyk, and a 24 second round pick from the Pistons. Would you do that, or would you not?
Never in a month of Sundays. The only good thing about that is that Trey Lyles wouldn't play against us because he absolutely destroys us. You all know how I feel about Kelly Olynyk in a second.
Yeah, I hate him.
Mo Bamba's worth a lot more than that for me. Boys,
I don't think that's just for you. I think that's for all of us. I would go nowhere near that deal. But I mean, Bamba's obviously is no secret. He's not the most valuable asset, but he's more valuable than Kelly Olynyk, a second rounder, and Trey Lyles, who's only going to play well against us, which is not useful because he'll be playing for us. So I don't think we go anywhere near it.
And I'm probably going to get the same reaction for the second one, which was the Magic send Jonathan Isaac, Etwan Moore, and the Chicago 2023 first that we got in the Vucevic deal to Atlanta for John Collins.
That deal is just absolute insanity. It's as if people have forgot who Jonathan Isaac is and what he was able to do before. There's not even just one thing. Before everything has started to happen with him. And then he's kind of gone off the map. But that deal is arguably, for me, worse than the first one. We're giving up a first-round pick and we're giving up Jonathan Isaac, who was probably the best player on the... Well, we had Vooch at the time, but when he was playing, one of the best players on the team.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I've got full confidence that it won't happen, and I'm very glad because... In my opinion, anyway, it's just an absolute disaster of a deal, and I hope it never comes anywhere close.
Have you seen John Collins go up against Jonathan Isaac?
Yeah.
He's awful against Jonathan Isaac. That's all you need to know. Isaac owns John Collins.
Barbecue chicken.
Yeah, absolutely.
In all seriousness, who really thinks that John Collins is worth that much? Like, does his mum even think he's worth that much?
The Laker fans.
Oh, yeah. The Laker trade machine was sent to Atlanta, was it? As part of the deal.
I mean, I read that. Forget Jonathan Isaac being in there. As soon as I saw the Chicago 2023 pick, I was like, no, that's not happening. Not at all. So if you want to take anything away from those two trade proposals, never go on NBAanalysis.net.
Yeah.
Never go on there.
There's one, G, you can take this, but we had an interesting chat the other day on text, didn't we?
Which one was that?
About
we speak most nights.
Your favourite team. And
which one's that?
I think it was about the ozone. I think it was influenced by the ozone, where you sent me a message saying, would you take Dwight Howard back to Orlando?
Oh, yeah. Yes. Interesting, that one, isn't it? Dwight Howard back. We really would. Depending on what we can get with him. If they want, I don't know what I don't think the salaries match up at all. I don't think it's possible, but I wouldn't mind having Dwight back. And Jonathan said this on the Six Man Show. I think it's time we need to get over this whole Dwight thing. It's 10, 11 years ago now. Water under the bridge. And he needs to be celebrated back in Orlando eventually. And, he's going to have his place in the Magic Hall of Fame because of what he did here. It's just a shame it turned out how it did. So I don't think it'll work at the moment trade-wise because of the salaries not matching up. But for me, I probably would bring him back just so we can try and teach some of the, Wendell, Mo, if he's still about, Jonathan Isaac, how, all the stuff he's learned during his time in the league. And let's be honest, he is a top 75 player in the league. So, yeah, I'd bring him back.
He'd have to shave his head, though, if he's coming back. I don't want him coming back looking like this.
No.
I'm sure it was on the Ozone where they discussed it, but then G put that to me, and I did have a tinker around with the trade machine, and something that would work was Dwight Howard and Taylor Horton-Tucker back to Orlando for Terrence Ross and Robin Lopez. And what could, bearing in mind how Taylor Horton-Tucker's the second coming of Christ, imagine what we could do with him in switching it somewhere,
That's your clip for this week, Mikey.
I mean, those two would just fit in even better, wouldn't they? Because their age of the roster's just going up and up and up. Apparently, that wouldn't work. The Lakers would have to shed another $3.5 million according to the trade machine, unless you included a trade exception in there as well, which I suppose you could do as well. But
so I've got a bad trade machine then. That's right.
Got a bad trade machine. So like I said, just don't go on NBAanalysis.net because it's just full of nonsense. Have you guys been on Bleacher Report? Have you seen any nonsense on there at all? Because they usually come out with one-sided trade proposals now and then.
I've not even bothered. It's just no. It's no. There's no point. There's no point. It's just hard.
Okay, right. Moving on. So predictions last week. The Magic obviously went 2-1, beating Dallas and Indiana, losing to Chicago. Luke, obviously, for showing us up this week, went 2-1 correctly. Paul and myself went 1-2, and Geraint said on our 6th episode, just to be different, he's going to go 0-3. You actually said 3-0 to start off with.
I did. And how close was I?
So I'm currently, and what we'll have to do next season, because there's no point adding it in now because you guys are going to be behind, but we'll start including Gary and Conall next season. But at the moment, I'm 7-6, Geraint's 6-7, and Paul is proudly holding the wooden spoon at 5-8. So the week ahead then, we're recording our next episode on Wednesday the 9th. I think we're also possibly, depending on what happens next week, probably going to record an emergency trade deadline episode at some point next week afterwards. But between now and then, the Magic have got 3 games starting at home to the Memphis Grizzlies, who are 36-18. They are 3rd in the Western Conference. On the road, they're 17-9. They're just playing really well, aren't they, Memphis? They've got one of the really bright young players, Ja Morant. I saw, was it last night they were playing the Knicks or the night before, and there was a few little tussles, and Julius Randle was looking like the role player that he should be, and people were getting under his skin.
I didn't see that. I'm going to check that out.
Did you not? You need to check it out afterwards. And Ja Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr. afterwards in the press conference were basically saying, "This is what we do." So if you don't like it, tough, basically. So the Magic play the Grizzlies on Saturday night. We got a nice early 10 p.m. tip off. So I probably still won't make that because that's an hour past my bedtime, so that's not going to happen. Then on Sunday, so we got a home back-to-back. We then got the Boston. No, we haven't. Yes, we have. We got the Boston Celtics on the Sunday, which is an 11 o'clock tip-off. The Celtics are currently 28 and 25, 9th in the Eastern Conference. And I think we're at home in that game. So they are 10 and 15 on the road. I haven't had a chance to look at injuries yet, so I'm not going to reel those off. And then on Tuesday, the Magic then travel to Portland, which is a lovely UK-friendly tip-off time of 3 a.m, which is Tuesday if you're in the States, but Wednesday morning in the UK. I think Paul said to me, I'm going to do what G did last week. I'm going to put Paul's prediction in there last. So G picked on me first last week, so I'm going to pick on him first this week. So G, what are you going with this week, mate?
What? You sure you don't want to go to the boys first?
No.
Right. Okay. Oh yeah, I don't have to be different this time. Memphis at home. Obviously, they're playing very well, as you just stated. Boston, I believe, are beatable. It is on a back-to-back, and then we go on the road to Portland. Oh, my gosh. Head says one thing, heart says another, as usual. And because I'm trying to catch you up, I'm going to go 0-3. I don't want to do that. I really think it's 1-2. Yeah, I think it's going to be 1-2, but I'm going to go 0-3 just because I want to try and catch you up. And I've got a hunch that you'll go 1-2.
Oh, you just want to be different to me.
Yeah.
You don't want to be like Mike. Is that what you're saying? All right.
Exactly.
All right. Little basketball reference in there. The Celtics actually also play a back-to-back. They're at Detroit the night before we play them. So,
okay.
There we go. Gary.
Okay.
Are we 3-0?
Fortunately not, Mikey. I think it'll be 1-2.
Yeah.
We're not beating Memphis at the minute. I think they're probably the team I think who we are looking at as one of the teams to model ourselves, and I just think they're too far ahead right now for us. Boston, it's probably going to feel like a home game for them because you're going to get all the green shirts in the Amway. I think we might lose that one, but I think we might beat Portland.
Yeah.
They're not having a good time of it, so I think the win might come on the road.
I forgot to say, Portland are 21 and 31, and they're still 10th in the East. In the West. And at home, they are 14 and 13. So they are better at home, but they have lost their last 3. And I think one of those games was against the Thunder. They lost to the Lakers last time out. Yeah, the Thunder they lost to, and the Bulls. But yeah, they've lost 5 of their last 6. So they're not doing very well. Conall.
I was going to say exactly what Gary said, but because he said I won't, I'll be a little bit different. I think we're all in agreement that that's right. We probably aren't going to beat the Grizzlies. The kind of form they're in, they're just unstoppable at the minute. So there's no point even talking about that game. We're probably going to lose. I had us beating Portland because, like you say, they've not been very hot this season at all, and especially over like the past week or so, we have been. Like we've definitely picked up a little bit of momentum, so I think we'll win that game. And I'll go for a win at home to the Celtics as well, just because we seem to have kind of enjoyed being at home a little bit more lately. Like I know it was referenced in the press conference after the Dallas game about how good the atmosphere was, and I understand that there will be more Celtics fans in there than there would have been Mavericks fans, but I'm saying it to be different. I think we'll lose, but I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say 2-1, and we will lose to the Grizzlies.
Interesting. Well, I am going to go 2-1 as well. And I'm going to go bold this week. I'm going to say we're going to beat the Grizzlies on Saturday night. And I think we're going to beat the Portland Trail Blazers on the road.
Can I change mine now?
No. You've already submitted them. I don't know.
I think we'll beat the Celtics.
I just feel, I wouldn't even say it's because we've won 4 of the last 6. I just feel like no matter who we play, we don't give up. We keep fighting. We find a way of just hanging around, or if we got deficits we're chasing, we find a way of clawing them back. And we saw in the Dallas game, through stretches of that, we were just sort of keeping ourselves there or thereabouts. And once we got our noses in front, we just about held on in that one. So, yeah, why not? Do you know what I mean? Why not? They're coming into our house. Memphis aren't one of the popular teams where the Amway is going to be covered in their 2 shades of blue. It's just going to be magic blue. There's probably going to be 1 or 2 Grizzlies jerseys, but it's not like we're playing the Lakers, Heat, or Celtics, where it's basically an away game at home. So I think we're going to beat the Grizzlies, and I think we're going to beat the Blazers. So I'm going 2-1. And Paul has gone 1-2, and he thinks we're going to beat the Celtics at home. So There we go. Okay, right. Let me find my notes for this week's Magic Trivia. So G asked, what did you say to me before we start recording, G?
I said I thought it was going to be all-star themed.
Well, you're right.
I was right.
You were right, but I just didn't want to give it away. Okay, right. So this is piggybacking off of this week's news that Jalen Suggs, Franz Wagner, and Cole Anthony are going to be in the Rising Stars Challenge. And obviously Cole's going to be in the dunk contest in a couple of weeks' time as well. So you guys can work between all of you. So with the NBA All-Star Weekend 2 weeks away, can you name every player who has represented the Magic in the Rising Stars game? And I believe 1994 is the first time they started it, because that's what Basketball Reference, that's as far as it went to. So
how many are there?
I'm not telling you that. I'm just going to let you figure that out as we go.
Okay.
Penny.
So I want the player and the year.
Oh, come on.
Jesus Christ, that's not easy.
Penny was played in some game. It must have been around about 93.
Right.
Close. 94.
94.
I'll let you have that. Yeah.
It was a
Penny.
February.
Mario.
Right. So you're going to have
Sorry, man.
Mike Miller, 2001.
Yeah. And 2002.
2002. Okay.
Okay.
Conall, do you want to have a go?
Yeah, I mean, all these kind of dates, I was like 1 year old, so I don't remember these games. But you must have had Victor Oladipo in 2014, 2014,
and 2015. So he played in both years of the rookie sophomore games. Yep, that's 3 down.
Mario Hezonja.
Can you remember the year, Gary?
I'm going to guess around about 2016.
Correct.
Aaron Gordon, 2015.
Aaron Gordon is incorrect. He didn't feature in the Rising Stars game. Yep.
Wow. Okay. Alfred Payton then.
Alfred Payton. Can you remember the years?
It was the same year as AG, wasn't it? 2015.
And 16. Yep.
Yeah.
What about Mo Bamba?
Mo Bamba has not played in it. Nope.
No. Right. You got to think back now, I think. Okay. I got to say my boy Matt Harpring.
Incorrect. I don't know if he might have played in the Rising Stars game, but he didn't represent the Magic in the Rising Stars game.
No, he would have, because he played the first 2 seasons with us. So, okay.
I've got a left field question. Corey Maggette.
He wasn't there.
No.
Oh, right. Okay. That's the one I was thinking as well.
Any ideas, Conall?
Vooch.
Vooch is spot on. Yeah. Can you remember the year?
2012.
13.
Somewhere around there.
Close.
13.
Yeah. Okay. There's 2 left.
Courtney Lee.
Incorrect.
Good shout. Oh, I would have gone for that, to be fair. That would have been my next one.
To be fair, one of these is a stinker, but one of these is a stinker, but
I'm going to throw one out there, Mikey, but I don't think it's going to be that. Would it be the human torture chamber, Andrew Nicholson?
that's the one, mate. Good shout.
Right.
Yeah. 2013.
That was very impressive.
Statistically, he looked better than he was.
Yeah, Andrew Nixon played in the game. Him and Vooch both played in the Rising Stars game in 2013. There's one left, and I cannot believe you guys have not even got this.
GI?
No.
Have we said Dwight?
There you go. Done.
Oh, there you go. I just kind of assumed we'd said him, but I'd forgot, so I didn't want to be stupid. And we'd already said it, but yeah, that seems like a given one, yeah.
Dwight Howard, 2005, 2006. So you got Penny, Mike Miller, Dwight Howard, Nick Vucevic, Andrew Nicholson, Victor Oladipo, Elfrid Payton, and the most recent is Mario Hezonja. But we've had two in the same game, but we've never had three. So this year is going to be a bit different. Okay, right. Last question. I've got two actually. No, I spent the time doing it, so we'll go through all three. Right. So same format. Can you name every player that's represented the Magic in the dunk competition since 1989? Obviously, since the Magic were founded.
Nick Anderson.
Nick Anderson is correct. Can you tell me who won that dunk competition?
It wasn't Nick.
Cedric Ceballos.
Yeah, there you go. Gary's all over it. Yeah.
Well, we obviously had AG pretty recently.
Yep. Appeared in 3. So obviously had the hoverboard in 2016. We got robbed, not for the first time.
Yeah.
He had the disappointing one, didn't he, with the drone the following year. Yeah. And then he had 3 years where he didn't do it. And then we had the Dwayne Wade farce in 2020. So AG's correct.
Dwight,
2 years.
Twice.
Yeah. 2008, Superman dunk. And then the second one was 2009. I think that was the sticker. Wasn't that the sticker dunk where he got right up on top of the backboard?
Yeah.
Flapped on
the center. The magic that they sent out to Dwight Howard figure, didn't they, where he was doing the sticker dunk? They made it one.
Yeah. Underrated that dunk was. It was underrated.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Friend of the show, Darryl Armstrong.
Correct. 1996. Can you tell me who won that dunk competition? This one surprised me actually.
96. Man. No. Who does he play for?
He played for the Clippers. He also played for the Spurs.
Brent Barry.
Brent Barry. Yeah. Okay. Victor Oladipo. Okay. 2015. Right, there's one
Otis
left.
Smith.
Oh, he's on it. Straight on to it. There you go. First contest, 1991. Who won that competition?
Jordan, maybe? I don't know.
No.
Dominique.
No. He was a Boston Celtic.
D. Brown.
D. Brown. Okay.
Ex-Magic as well, D. Brown.
Yeah. And then, last of All-Star game. I forgot about the skills challenge, but that hasn't been going so long. So, NBA All-Star game. So, can you name every player that represented the Magic during the All-Star game? Bit easier.
At the All-Star game.
At the All-Star game.
Shaquille O'Neal.
Correct. Look, Conall.
I was going to go Jameer Nelson as my first one.
Jameer did not play, but he was.
Oh, he got selected.
But he got selected.
Well, I guess you could have Dwight Howard.
Yeah.
Rashard Lewis.
Yeah.
Vooch.
Booch.
G Hill.
G Hill.
Penny Hardaway.
And Tracy
Team
McGrady. I may as well just say it. You know him. There you go. Job done.
Easy work.
Nice.
Easy,
Good job, mate.
made easy work of that. So excellent. Good stuff. So like we said, we are recording our next episode, I think, on Wednesday next week. Like I said, we might be doing an emergency podcast depending on what happens at the trade deadline next Thursday or between now and then. But as always, thank you for listening and watching. Please subscribe to the podcast and hit that notification button so you don't miss any future episodes. Make sure you visit our website, orlandomagicuk.com, for the latest news. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at Orlando Magic UK. You can find all our links on the podcast description as well. So from Conall, Gary, Geraint, and myself, until next time, go Magic.